Okay, so I think I'll just get started, and if people are still joining, then we can just admit them and get them into the conversation. So I took the chance to talk about interoperability and data exchange, but now is your opportunity really to discuss what we heard, to maybe in the meantime, you've had some thoughts to dwell on, you've got some new perspective on things. So feel free to ask your questions. I was wondering, is the whole concept of registries and the interoperability layer, the interoperability platform, was this clear to everyone how these interact, like how they support each other, how the interoperability platform really relies on different government registries? So maybe just a question into the round. Maybe you can just type into the chat how many of you are actually closely working with registries in Algeria. Yes,
please,
but you
the question.
Say again, sorry.
Can you repeat the question, Tobias?
Okay, so the question was, how many of you are actually working directly with registries in Algeria? So how big a part of your daily work are these, and where do you see the potential for interoperability technology to really make your life easier?
I think no one is working with registries. We have biometric identity card. We have a national identity number, but it's not used by people or organization or citizen. Okay, good to know. But in terms of interoperability in Algeria, is this a topic that is currently on the agenda? Is there some attention? Yes, it's the purpose of our working now with the government is to making this identity to translate this identity, this biometric identity card into a numeric identity, digital identity. You know, this is our working now.
So that's the digital identity, but is there like actively being done work on standardizing how data is being exchanged between government agencies?
I am not in the government. I don't know if there is someone here in the government. I am the president of Algerian group of digital actors. It's a private company, it's a private organization.
Okay. Well, as we're talking right now, everybody else can just join this discussion. But maybe just a question to you. In my talk, I did address the fact that interoperability platform is not exclusively for the public sector, but also for the private sector. So information flowing between the public and the private sector. Do you see any perspective for that in Nigeria? Do you see the interest on the side of the private sector, whether it's small businesses or whether it's bigger businesses, actually standardizing how they communicate with the authorities?
Actually, in Algeria, the only interoperability between administration is between scholar and registry. Now you can register your son or your without giving any certificate or any act, just the scholar are connected to the registry and they can get all the information of the peoples.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's not this awareness that this could actually also be used in other sectors as well, so if I understand you correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have a question, Ali.
Here's Mr. Larkham. He is in the government. He is in the registry.
Okay, terrific. Looking forward to hear from you, Ali.
Of this.
Your microphone is muted.
Pardon?
Yes.
Vous
Hello.
m'entendez? Vous m'entendez?
Yes, I can.
Donc, concernant le registre national de l'état civil, donc, il est déjà mis en place. Il contient les données concernant l'ensemble des citoyens. Il est déjà partagé avec les différents départements ministériels, le ministère de la Justice, le ministère de Finances, de l'Habitat, du Commerce, et de la Santé, du Travail et de l'Action sociale. Donc, tous ces départements ministériels ou ces secteurs ont accès à ce registre national de l'état civil. Ce registre contient le NIN de l'ensemble des citoyens. Nous avons aussi la base de données nationale de la carte nationale ou des passeports. Vous avez posé la question concernant l'interopérabilité. Le gouvernement algérien a, si vous voulez, sur le plan réglementaire, a formalisé, si vous voulez, un référentiel d'interopérabilité concernant les systèmes d'information. Il n'est pas encore, si vous voulez, mis en application. Aujourd'hui, nous travaillons pour sa mise en application entre les différents départements ministériels. Nous voudrions aussi tirer profit de votre expérience pour le partager au fait dans le domaine du secteur, plutôt le secteur privé. Très bien. Donc, vous voyez, nous avons aussi la carte d'identité que nous voudrions soit l'instrument d'accès à l'ensemble des services gouvernementaux à l'avenir. Nous travaillons pour son déploiement aussi à l'échelle aujourd'hui à l'échelle nationale et dans tous les secteurs. Donc, nous sommes en phase de cette généralisation d'interaction entre les différents secteurs gouvernementaux et le secteur. Et je pense, vous avez évoqué le réseau X-Road, ce système qui fait la différence en Estonie. Nous voudrions savoir de plus amples informations concernant ce réseau pour tirer un enseignement et le mettre en place. Je voudrais aussi, vous permettez, poser une question concernant, si vous voulez, les leçons apprises ou tirées de l'attaque électronique qualifiée de première attaque cyberguerre que l'Estonie a subie en 2016 7. Donc, quels sont les enseignements tirés, notamment en termes de sécurité du système d'information, pour se préparer aux éventuelles attaques à l'avenir? Merci. Et je suis disponible à répondre à vos questions concernant le volet identité.
Thank you very much. So that's great questions, two great things to address. So let me talk about the X-Road first, about the data exchange platform, and then I'll talk about the cyber attacks as well. So in terms of the functionality of the X-Road, or of the data exchange platform, the magic here really lies within the fact that it's a standardized technology that is managed by one government entity. This is the case in Estonia, but this is also the case where Cybernetica, my employer, has done this work in Benin, in Western Africa, for example, but also in Ukraine. So there's one central government agency that is responsible for maintaining and operating this data exchange platform, right? So when you think of the diagram that I put in front of you, you had the governing level, and then you had the service level. So the governing level is always managed by an established, or by a government entity. And then the X-Road, the data exchange platform, scales over time based on use cases, right? So in that sense, in the beginning in Estonia, you would have the tax authority being one of the most vocal proponents of this technology in cooperation with the information systems authority. Now, one of the big drivers of the X-Road, of the data exchange platform in Estonia is the healthcare sector, right? So a lot of data is being exchanged in healthcare over that platform, and this is one of the key benefits for the citizens, that they actually get access to their healthcare data thanks to this technology. So as soon as this technology is implemented, and as soon as you become a member, whether you're a public or a private sector entity, as soon as you have set up your security servers, you identify who are your potential partners, who are other members of this interoperability platform that have interesting information that would allow you to optimize your processes, your business processes, or that would optimize some sort of service that you would like to provide to citizens or clients. So in that regard, just a couple of years back, Estonian banks started using this data exchange platform in order to exchange data with the tax authority that would be relevant for the tax declaration. So this really grows on a need basis. So it's not like you outline the whole picture, that you implement this massive data exchange network that you saw during my presentation as well. But it's more like that over time, the more literate really in these issues the different government agencies and businesses become, the more they make use of this technology for their own benefit. And in our experience, we've also we've worked with people in Japan, for example, that have run hackathons with this technology that we're internationally providing, so that actually people can think about, like, really grassroots, think like, what would this technology be beneficial for, right? What kind of information? So let's take down the boundaries of different government agencies, and let's try to think that's the data that the tax authority is responsible for. That's the authority that is responsible for healthcare data. And here's a concrete problem that we have, and how can we use this technology in order to solve this problem by integrating the different parties, right? And always having in mind that this technology, the interoperability platform, is not about, sharing this information randomly, but finding real concrete use cases, what this could be good for. And I think where you are, if you have the national identifier in Algeria or already, that is a very good basis. If this is being used by different government agencies, then this is a good step, and that is a great step really to make data clearly identifiable to one specific person, right? To make sure that that one specific bit of information belongs to this one specific information that that's in that sense the subject of that information, really. So that's the interoperability platform. If you have a question, we can discuss this further. I'll just talk about the cyber attack thing as well. So in 2007, indeed, Estonia was the victim, or was the subject of had to struggle with a big cyber attack that was launched from abroad. And de facto, it was a massive DDoS attack, a denial of service attack, basically just overwhelming all sorts of government registries and private sector entities, also banks, etc., with requests. So the services would break down, the websites would break down, and no services could be accessed anymore for a certain time period. And the lesson learned from that really was that so the cybersecurity discussion in 2007 was a different one than we're having right now. Right now, cybersecurity really has become this integral part. Has become an integral part of any digital transformation discussion that we're really having, and it really needs to be an integral part of these discussions as well. So the lessons learned from that in 2007 really was that that there needs to be a higher awareness about all sorts of security threats that are out there, and there has been a boost in awareness campaigns, in PR. There has been very transparent communication from the government side concerning those security risks, concerning the issue, the fact that citizens really need to be aware of risks out there, and then there are certain strategic objectives that the Estonian authorities have worked on, such as improving technology, such as experimenting with new technology to make sure that whether lawful or unlawful access to data can always be identified. So that is something that over time has evolved.
Merci infiniment pour ces éclaircissements. Merci infiniment.
Great.
Pour votre réponse très claire.
Do we have any other questions right now? So maybe just one way of how we're addressing this as an Estonian company abroad. I think what's always crucial is that you shouldn't there shouldn't be this kind of, there should be this approach that we're rolling this technology out slowly, right, gradually over time, and we're trying to identify the stakeholders that are really relevant to rolling out this technology and setting up the technology and then making use of this technology right away, right? So meaning bringing stakeholders together that actually have a benefit from exchanging data and helping them in exchanging data really over this platform then. So in that regards, it's always a question of partnership and of cooperation between different government entities and the private sector as well, inviting the private sector maybe to think about, to discuss the opportunities of this kind of technology as well. I will just any questions from the audience? If there are no more questions, then right now, then I'll just take the opportunity and give you an idea of data exchange via interoperability platforms. So I'll give an Estonian example. There's a public transport operator in Tallinn, actually all around Estonia. And Estonian residents in their respective municipality are entitled to travel via public transportation for free, right? So basically this means they're funding this via their taxes, essentially, but they don't have to pay extra for using public transport. Their public transportation ticket is personalized to their national identifier. As you said, Mr. Larkham, that's what you have in Algeria as well, that actually their ticket is personalized to their personal identifier. That means that obviously the public transport operator or the operator of the ticketing system needs to know whether that specific person that is using public transportation for free actually has a place of residence in that very location where they're traveling for free or where they're claiming to travel for free. This means that the public ticketing or the ticketing operator uses a security server, links their information systems to the security server and becomes a member of the interoperability platform. On the other side, you have the population register, basically, the key registry, also being a part of the interoperability environment via security server. And now these two parties, the population registry and the ticketing provider, they have an agreement, a bilateral agreement, a service level agreement that defines for what purpose the ticketing operator can get access to the data they need in order to determine whether the rider, the public transport user, is entitled to use public ticketing for free. I hope that was a lot of factors to consider. I hope the translator caught up. Thanks for doing that work. And in that service level agreement, it is actually specified that the ticketing provider can only get access to the zip code of the specific user of public transport, right? So they can, because the ticket is personalized on the personal identifier, they take the personal identifier and send it via the interoperability platform to the population register so that the population register can send the zip code back. They don't duplicate the zip code, right? But they get the information comes right from the source. So the single source of truth, the ticketing provider can see what is the zip code, and then their information systems can determine again, is this the zip code that the individual is actually entitled to use public transportation for free? And then their information system already says yes and no, right? So this is really in a practical case how this works. Yeah, and unfortunately, we're already now we're running out of time. But it has been a pleasure talking to you. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you will have a great second day tomorrow, and you will have some great impact, some great input for the work that you're currently doing. And as a last favor, I'd love to ask Tajidin if you'd be willing to maybe summarize the topics we addressed for the big audience on the conclusion stage. Would that be okay for you? You're muted, but you were smiling, so.
I think it will be difficult for me to express my, to summarize what we have done here.
Yes.
I think Mr. Kevin want to talk, to speak.
Mr. who? Mr. Kevin?
Mr. Kevin, yeah.
No, I think he's my colleague, so I think.
He's raising his hand.
Yeah, so if you, I mean, it's just a short summary, maybe just briefly summarize for everybody else what we've been talking about. That would be wonderful.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. So, so we're moving from here now. I need to go downstairs. So I'll see you from the big stage in a moment. So stay tuned. And yeah, thanks again for listening and for sharing your thoughts. Thank you. Bye.